Back to our top story this evening. The search continues for Malaysian Airlines Flight MH370 disappearing yesterday. Here's a map of the area. The Boeing 777 headed to Beijing when it dropped contact 2 hours after takeoff. No warning, no call for help. Malaysian authorities say early reports of wreckage and of possible landings have proven false. The only clue right now, a 12-mile oil slick in the Gulf of Thailand that is southwest of Cambodia and Vietnam. Here with me now, Bill Hensley, former Air Force pilot, commercial airlines pilot. Thanks for being in the KUSI News with us.
Glad to be here.
All right, Bill, you flew an airliner similar to the 777, did you not?
Yes, if I can take just a moment here.
Yeah, we've got a model of the 777 right here, right?
This is a 767-400.
Okay, that's what you flew.
This is what I flew. This is virtually identical to the 777-200. Cockpit is identical. In fact, was configured to carry more passengers than most 777s.
How does an aircraft this big, with this many people on board, with the kind of communications equipment that it had on board, and digital satellite tracking devices on board simply disappear? It seems impossible.
Yeah, you've heard the term catastrophic used probably in the last 24 hours, and that's because that's what applies to this situation. These airplanes are so stable, they're built so well by Boeing, and Airbus equally builds wonderful airliners, that in fact if you're flying from into Los Angeles and you're coming up from the south, you literally have to start your descent in the San Diego area, bringing the power back to idle to get this thing on the ground by Los Angeles. That's how stable of an aircraft this is. Yeah. So when it disappears from the radar screen, the word catastrophic is what comes to mind to pilots, because it means it's something beyond the control of the air crew, because they would have had plenty of time to notify if it were something that were slow and simmering.
What might that something have been? I mean, what might the options be? Okay,
great question. Unfortunately, the options, none of them are good. One of them would be structural failure, where a part of the airplane physically comes off. That's a complete rarity. It's been decades since something like that has happened. Another one, unfortunately, is if there's an explosion. You remember perhaps TWA Flight 800, which exploded, and then we found out perhaps it was due to fuel in the fuel, a low fuel state in the fuel tank, and a spark was introduced. So something like that would cause the airplane to instantly disappear from the radar screen. Unfortunately, it's those kinds of scenarios, or somebody flying it directly into the ground or into the ocean, which is a very extremely rare occurrence as well.
Whatever it might have been,
yes,
it prevented the crew from any communication whatsoever.
Which is an extraordinary part of the story, because there are so many redundant backup sources of communications, VHF communications, HF communications, communicating with the transponder by dialing a certain code into a certain instrument. So for the crew to stop communicating and for it to disappear, the outcome is not too promising.
It does not bode well, does it?
No, it does not, John.
With GPS satellite communications being what it is, I mean, you can practically spot a nickel on a sidewalk from space. Yes. I'm exaggerating, but I mean, practically. I mean, how close should we be able to get to the possible crash site?
Okay, good question. Remember, GPS, as used in aircraft, the signals emanate from the aircraft to the satellite, and it lets the aircraft know where it is. So the best that we can do is to use the data from where the aircraft was last known, and it was about 35,000 feet, about 40 or 50 minutes into the flight. So that's where they're going to start. That's where all of these ships are converging. That's where all the helicopters and airplanes are converging. Right now they're 15 hours ahead, so it's morning time. It's about approaching 9:30 in the morning, so visibility is good now. And there's a good chance that within the next day or so we may spot something, if that indeed is what happened.
All right, Bill Hensley, pilot, thanks for the insight on that.
Thank you, John.
And we'll keep in touch with you. We hope you keep in touch with us as we follow the story from the other side of the globe. Thank you, Bill.